What's up, everyone? We had an awesome day in the market today, and I have a feeling the rest of this week will be even better. We have some insane earnings cut out for us for tomorrow and the rest of the week. We have a crucial interest rate decision, and we have a lot of opportunities just waiting for us in the market. So even if today wasn't your day, that's okay. We're going to do our best in tonight's video to make sure tomorrow is as good as it can be. We have a lot of great setups in the works, so make sure to stick with us all the way to the end. But with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into today's episode.
Yeah, definitely. And I know the stock market has been taking a lot of flack lately. We've been seeing a lot of stocks dropping off to the downside, especially last week. We saw a lot of stocks moving down with Tesla, Netflix earnings. And today we actually saw a good breakout back to the upside. The SPY had a pretty good move. We even go look at like QQQ. It held its ground. It ended up being green. It actually went red at first, but then kind of came back and held up. I'm not going to say it was like a great day in the market, but it was a day where we did see a couple stocks pull back. Like Tesla had a pretty good day, up 3.48%, and there were some select stocks that did pretty well. So that's good to see. But Mike, I know that everybody's been talking about the earnings the past couple weeks, and man, we are set tomorrow to kick it off in a good way, especially in the morning even too. I know in after hours we have Microsoft, Google, Snapchat, Visa. Those are some big dogs there. But in pre-market, we even have Verizon, General Motors, 3M, GE, Spotify, which I think is actually going under the radar a little bit. Spotify is going to be interesting on their earnings, and even Raytheon down there. So we have so many the next couple days, and Microsoft and Alphabet are going to impact the market so much. I mean, they are going to be so influential. Like you talked about yesterday, the hit that Microsoft is going to have on the S&P 500's market cap is going to be huge. So I can't wait to see how this ends up impacting the market here.
You know it. And I'll tell you, for tomorrow, there's really two stocks you have to pay attention to, and Tom already covered them. That is Microsoft and Alphabet, which is Google. But I'll tell you, especially Microsoft is a stock you really need to watch. Right now, looking at the charts, it's right around that $345 level. It's back below that $350 resistance, and it has been selling off completely for the past 4 days. And Tom, it's hard not to wonder if, people are looking at Microsoft right now and saying, you know what, it's at all-time highs, and maybe these earnings won't be the best, or maybe they'll be okay, and then they'll just have like a bad reaction, kind of like Netflix and Tesla from last week. But either way, seeing 4 decently red days right ahead of earnings, plus the bad tech earnings we saw from Tesla and Netflix last week, is definitely a little bit concerning with this one.
It really is, and I know there's usually a lot of people who love to play call options ahead of earnings and stuff like that, and I'm wondering if, coming up into this season, seeing those other tech earnings, if that's even going to just start to put, a bad thought into people's minds, because, whenever you see those, you would definitely think that maybe some of the others might not wow as much as people are expecting, and that's the big thing right now. These stocks are up so much that they kind of have to wow, because they're just, whenever you see some of these stocks up 100% plus, now I know Microsoft isn't. From their low to where they are now, they're actually up something like 62.5, 63%, somewhere right around there. So really, it's not like they're up 100%, but for a big dog like Microsoft, 62% just in about a year. I mean, those are really good numbers. So I can't wait to see, Mike. I think there's going to be some more selling coming in, and we even saw it today on a couple stocks, even Nvidia today. It ended up green, but it had a pretty, I would say, just not the best move. There were so many stocks today that were just so flat and choppy, and I'm worried that we're going to see that choppiness till some of these earnings finally get done with.
And we all know how earnings season is, Tom. You could have a stock report amazing numbers, and the market would be like, nah, don't care. This stock's going to fall 15%. But at the same time, you could have a stock report just horrible numbers, and the next thing you know, it could be up a couple 100%. And it's just crazy, and that's what makes earnings season, what I'll call so special, is it's just insanity sometimes. And so far it's been mostly bearish, and as we look on the calendar, as the week goes on, we just have a bunch of exciting stocks reporting all week, and Meta is another one that everyone has to watch, but tomorrow after close.
Yeah, definitely. Meta's going to be fun. I'm even interested to see how Boeing does in pre-market. But yeah, Meta's going to be the big dog. And Mike, they have Threads. And I know people have been really looking at Threads a lot lately, and they've been comparing it to Twitter. And You know what's very interesting is that it looks like Twitter has actually changed their name today. I was not expecting this, Mike, but Twitter's actually changed their name to X, which is interesting. I don't know if this has to do with Meta coming out with Threads or what, but it's interesting to see him do it so close to this. But I know Elon, he has that AI company he talked about being like XAI, so I'm really not surprised to see him call Twitter X, and you guys can actually go to x.com, so that'll take you to Twitter's homepage. Looks like he got the domain for it, so wow, Mike, I mean, I can't believe he's renaming it X. Twitter is very popular, and to be honest, you can't beat that bird logo, in my opinion. I don't know what Elon's thinking here on this one, honestly.
Yeah, I don't either. I don't really love it, Tom. I'm going to be honest with you. I just think it's kind of, I don't know, kind of weird, I guess. It's just, I don't know. It's just like a weird situation. Like, I just don't see like the same, like, I don't know, like level of hype or like specialness, we'll call it, with like, normally going on Twitter, but you instead of saying like, hey, I'm going to go tweet something, like, does that like have like a new name now, like because the whole company's named X instead of Twitter? I don't know, it's weird.
Yeah, I'm gonna go exit, Mike. Like it just sounds terrible, like when you say that. But yeah, I can't believe it. I hope that they go back to Twitter, honestly. Maybe he'll say it was just a joke. Elon's always doing crazy stuff, but I'm not a big fan either. I actually like the name though, like x.com. That's actually, it sounds like a great website, but just not for not for renaming Twitter. Maybe if it was its own thing.
Yeah, exactly. So that's your Elon news of the day, right? Who else would you expect this from besides Elon? So that is that, Tom. But not only do we have exciting earnings this week, we have some pretty important events cut out for us on the economic schedule. And, this is actually going to get pretty exciting. So fill us in.
Oh, yes, it is. So on Wednesday, tomorrow is Tuesday, where obviously we don't have a lot on the schedule then, but Wednesday is really where we kick things off. So as we know, the FOMC, they're meeting, they're going to be discussing interest rates, what they're going to do with them, if they're going to hike them or not. Looks like we're actually getting a big chance of a hike, but at 2 p.m. Eastern time Wednesday, get ready. That interest rate decision is going to come out, and the market's going to start going insane probably heading into that event that day and after the event, and then Powell speaks 30 minutes after that, 2:30 p.m. Eastern time. So 2 p.m., 2:30 p.m. Eastern time Wednesday. Be ready. We are going to get a huge insight from the Fed, and they're going to talk about, obviously, why they hiked rates or why they didn't, whatever they choose. But it always gives us a good insight into the economy, and it definitely moves markets, and stocks go crazy. So, we have the big earnings, Mike. We have this going on. I don't know if it can get much crazier with all the big companies reporting, too.
Tom, I don't know if you smell that, but I smell a whole lot of opportunity this week. Giant events sprinkled throughout the whole week. I hope you guys are excited because this is the volatility that makes for some pretty awesome moves. So on another note, Tom, while the market itself has been booming over the past year, like it's been like a nonstop, like honestly, like almost like reminds me of the money printer days of 2020, where it's just like nonstop uptrend since the beginning of this year. Analysts for a lot of major Wall Street institutions are not so optimistic about the market right now. We can see on this chart right here, it basically shows analysts' year-end projections, and most of them are significantly in the negative, and only a handful of them are positive, like Credit Suisse and like you could say Fundstrat. But besides that, whether you're looking at JP Morgan, Bank of America, Goldman, Wells Fargo, UBS, Morgan Stanley, Citigroup, anything, all these analysts are expecting like a pretty decent pullback in the market to end the year, Tom. And it's like, it's not like we're talking about like a 3% pullback either. Like the worst case looks like almost like a 25% drop.
It really is. I mean, I cannot believe that like Piper Sandler is expecting like an 18% pullback or something like that in the market. UBS and Morgan Stanley, like somewhere around 15%. That is just insane to me. Citigroup around 12. Like that really blows my mind, Mike, to see that some of these banks are expecting that big of a pullback. But, whenever we were actually looking at this ahead of the video, we went to SPY's chart and we actually like plotted the pullback, right? So, like if we're sitting here around like, let's just say 453, if we have like a nice 12% pullback here, the SPY will be all the way down to around like $400. So like, let's say we do like what Citigroup's saying, 12, like something around 12%, we'll be right around that $400 support. And you know, whenever you look at it short term, that looks crazy, right? But whenever you zoom out long term and you start to look at like a long-term chart of SPY, a little pullback like that down to 400 honestly wouldn't even be that bad on like a longer term basis. So I'm looking at this, Mike, like that I kind of agree with some of these banks that we're going to have this pullback. How do you kind of feel heading into the end of this year? Because I know that it's very conflicted, especially considering that the Feds are going to start pausing rate hikes and stuff. A lot of people are looking at it, at the market to still pop up.
That's the thing. So it's like most of the time the safest bet is to just, assume that the market will keep going up. But it's like at the same time, we have a lot of stocks just ridiculously overextended to the upside. And the way I see the market right now is just like it's not worth getting new long positions right now. And I do think we're going to see a decent pullback. Do I think we're going to see a, 25% pullback? No, probably not. But I wouldn't be surprised if we see a pullback in like the 5 to like maybe like 12% range, just given how much stocks have been rising so much lately. But also, the fact that the earnings season so far hasn't been the best, whether you're looking at Netflix or Tesla. So, unless these big tech stocks like Microsoft, Apple, Amazon, and Google really show up to play, I definitely see a pullback coming.
Yeah, I really do too. And it's going to be a tough earnings season here this week. Be ready, guys. I mean, stay with us. And, there's always opportunity out there, even to the downside. We'll be talking about a few of these plays as we continue. I actually have Microsoft as one of my plays of the day today. So
awesome. On a different note, though, Tom, while analysts are not necessarily too bullish, looking at some historical data related to call volume and put volume shows us some warning signs as well. So essentially what we see in the chart right now is total net call volume, and this is basically calculated by taking call volume and then subtracting the put volume. So when this is positive, there's more call volume than put volume, and vice versa for when it's negative, and it's like a 5-day moving average. But long story short, what we were seeing in January, like basically the beginning of 2023, was a lot more put volume than call volume, and that ended up being the best time to buy stocks lately, right? But on the other hand, what we're seeing right now is a lot more call volume than put volume, to the likes of which we haven't seen since 2021. And normally when we had these situations in the past, it has been relatively bearish. So that's just another warning sign to keep in mind as we have these giant earnings in a couple days.
yeah, and Mike, I always hear people talking about like call volume, right? They're like, well, hey, how was the call volume today? Was there more calls being bought than puts, right? And, some people think, well, hey, that means that people are bullish on the market. And sure, that's the case. But whenever it starts to get like too euphoric and you just start to get that happening too much, obviously then the trend starts to change and then people start to kind of gravitate towards puts. And, whenever the market's this high, like you said, Mike, it's hard to go long up here. And I think eventually that's going to start to play out. I know it's been real easy for calls lately, but I have a feeling the next few months we're going to get a lot more volatile in the market.
Exactly. So with that being said, Tom, let's jump right into some setups for tomorrow. One stock I'm watching very closely is NIO, one of those crazy China stocks to the upside. And this stock had an amazing day today. I couldn't have asked for anything better. And I can see it going up even more over the next couple of days. This stock, normally when it runs with some volume, it can run for days or weeks at a time. And it's very explosive and it moves to the upside in like almost like a violent way. Like when it has that momentum, like it really rolls. So I am definitely watching this one to the upside going forward, but the volume and the news and the momentum is crucial.
Yeah, it really is. I love it, Mike. I think Neo's awesome. And man, it was cool to see it running up today. Some of those plays in the Discord were very, very fun as well. And with my first play of the day, we're actually going with Boeing, a stock that also followed like Neo to the upside. I'm not saying it followed him, but on a day like today, it was pretty good to see a green. So I'll be looking at Boeing to continue maybe above like 216. I know it had a pretty good breakout of its trend last week, and that was good to see. So keep going up, Boeing. If we break 216, maybe look at some calls. There is some resistance around 216 and 217, but I think that we'll get some pretty good momentum coming in.
Alrighty, sounds good. Another stock I'm watching is Apple, but it's not the direction you think. It's actually to the downside, and this thing has a pretty decent support level right around 192. If it rips below that, I would love to ride this thing to the downside, especially if that volume kicks in too.
Yeah, I think it's awesome. I love this play, Mike. And my next play is actually Microsoft to the downside. So I'm looking at Microsoft. You're looking at Apple. We're definitely kind of going against, like, the historical trend of the market, right? So everyone's saying, like, Microsoft, Apple, those stocks generally going up. But yeah, I know right here it's been shaky lately. If Microsoft ends up getting under this big 342 area, I'll look at some puts down to 340 and then maybe some even under 340 if we break under that. But there's some big supports coming up, and I think that we'll at least test those, if not break them.
Alrighty, sounds great. Well, it is now time for those, I guess you could say, highly anticipated momentum plays. And with the first one, we have Lucid to the upside.
Lucid Motors here. I was really happy to see them running up today after they kind of pulled back all last week. Go ahead and make them break above $7.22. There was a pretty good double top there end of day today.
All right, with the next one, we have Alibaba also to the upside.
Baba, yeah. Now, Mike, we talked about this one yesterday, and it had a 4.5% move today. So good stuff yesterday. That was cool to see it running up. But go ahead and make it break out above 97.50 here for tomorrow.
And with the next one, we have JP Morgan, one of those bank stocks that have just been booming lately, but we actually need both directions on this one.
Yeah, so if it keeps going and they break above 159, look at some calls. That could actually be a pretty good area to the upside for tomorrow. But if they end up pulling back and they fall under 157, then maybe look at puts. That's a pretty big support.
Alrighty, so we have that downside level for puts, we have the upside level for calls, and then if we jump back to Alibaba, we have the upside level on that one for calls, and then for Lucid, we have the upside level on that one as well for calls. But it is now time for the $900,000 big money trade of the day, and we are looking at PDD. So another China stock, Tom. Long story short, someone dumped 900 grand into the PDD 64 strike call options that expire on August 18th of 2023. This stock is relatively low in the grand scheme of things, but it also has a lot of, positive momentum in the short term right now, which is great to see. I do like the setup on this one, but I think you should be extra cautious if you play it because these types of stocks are very volatile. That is not a bad thing. It's just extra crazy, and you have to be prepared for that if you're going to trade it. But overall, I think the risk-reward ratio is pretty good.
Yeah, I actually like it, and I'm actually placing an alert here, right at $84, because I see PDD here, there's a pretty big, resistance in the short term, right around 84, and I feel like you could maybe trade it up into that, and I'm actually going to place an alert there so that, if we do get there, I can maybe play a breakout there, but I do think that even in the short term, for the next few days, there's a good possibility these China stocks could continue. They had a good run up a couple weeks ago, and then last week and the past couple weeks they've just been consolidating really, really hard. So as long as we keep going and we get a nice breakout here, I would love to see these stocks continue. And I'm not a big fan of China stocks for the long term, but short term movement, man, I think they can be very fun to trade. And even for the long term, China, it's a pretty good bet. If our relationship with China goes sour, with all the manufacturing and stuff we do there, we're going to be in some big trouble.
No doubt about that. But, back to the market, if you're really looking to capitalize on the current market situation, you have to check out that first link in the description and the comments down below. Today's play was a banger. So looking at today's trade, Sniper Bot alert with Neo call options, the 11 strike call options were alerted at $45 each. By the end of the day, they were worth $114 each. That's like a 2.5x just today. It's not like we were holding this for 3 months. This is just today. If you check out that first link in the description in the comments down below, you'll get access to the Sniper Bot, Hybrid Bot, all of our premium tools, and you can chat with Tom and myself all day long. It is the best program out there if you're looking to capitalize off the current market sentiment, as well as access tools that you will not find anywhere else. and you'll get access to multi-million-dollar hedge fund trades just like the PDD one today. Yesterday was CVS, which was a monster trade, so make sure to check it out. You can cancel it anytime in the worst case scenario. But we also have to give a special shout out to today's member of the day, Mr. Solomon, who just crushed it today, especially with NEO. So awesome job there. It looks like you have a bunch of NEO open call option positions. Looks like you have some spreads in the works as well too. So that's awesome. Huge shout out to you. You've been in the chat for almost a year now, and it's awesome to see days like this.
Yeah, great trade. 233% total on that position, and that's just one of them. So great stuff, Solomon. I really appreciate you. And yeah, keep up the great work. It looks like some awesome trades coming in. And, it's been great to have you in the Discord. So thanks for joining and thanks for being here for so long. You've been in the Discord for just about a year now.
There we go. So, Tom, for the market right now, do you have any final thoughts or anything else you're looking at? It's like we have earnings creeping up. We've all been waiting for this moment for months now. Is there anything else on your mind?
I have been watching some trends lately, like with the SPY. I know that the SPY has been following a bit of like a trend lately to the upside even. There was a big like channel that they've been running up in. And to the downside lately, they've been following a pretty good trend line too. Today, we actually got a pretty good breakout out above there. Now, that was good to see today for short-term trading, but for the next few days, I'm just so curious to see like where we go from here, Mike. It's obviously like I'm kind of leaning to the downside with the earnings, but then again, like until the earnings happen tomorrow night, like heading into tomorrow, we might see like a double top of SPY, maybe like a retest up here of like this 456.50 area. I wouldn't be too surprised if that happened at least before the event. So just be prepared for tomorrow. I think there's going to be a lot of volatility before the big earnings come out. Obviously, that's going to be huge with like Microsoft, but even on Wednesday, it's going to be big with the big FOMC meeting. So we're definitely in for a crazy week this week.
Yeah, and if you guys want to capitalize off the just downside movement as well, check out ETFs like SQQQ and SPXS. Both of these rise when markets are falling, and they are definitely great hedges, but you mainly only want to trade them for the short term. But besides that, thank you guys so much for watching. It takes us a long time to get all of our research done and make these videos like this. So if you want to see them more often, definitely make sure to subscribe. When you do, you'll see our videos recommended to you more often. But like I said, I have a really good feeling that this week is going to be one to remember. So let's have an awesome week, guys, and thanks for watching.